Hello, Clarice.
Welcome.
Welcome to our first affiliate stream. I hope nobody was scared away by that. But today we are discussing Silence of the Lambs, but first we must celebrate. I should have
Probably should have prepped this.
maybe, possibly. What would be the fun in that?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe so I don't have to make it up as I go along at home as well as at work.
But that's what we do. That's what we do, Pinky. That's how we live our lives. Like spot up dinner. My students were talking about what they were eating for dinner in class right before this. One girl was like, I've got a Chipotle burrito. And I was like, I want a Chipotle. You good?
I was expecting cork.
Yeah. Because, champagne, so cork. Well.
This is really just alcoholic soda.
Basically. I mean, it's blueberry champagne. What did you expect? What does it smell like? Just smells like sparkling wine. Here. Deal with it. Yeah, we were not prepared for this moment. It's fine. It's fine. Damn, that is blue. I mean, I realized that the bottle, indicates that it's blue, but it's bright. So, I've been saving this for I didn't know what, and then last week I realized I was saving it for this. So, to affiliate. Thank you,
Tvoje
everyone.
Strovia. In case Bob is watching.
Yes. Thank you to everyone. This is because of you.
That is not good.
No, it's not. we should dump this out and open the Merlot because that's gonna be way better. Good for us. Good for us. Is that why you gave me more?
No, I had no idea what the taste was.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah. You're really gonna fit. We have an entire bottle of Merlot over there.
That is alcohol abuse. I do not support that.
Give me some of mine.
Why?
Because you gave me more. Look, it's just a little bit.
Oh, God, that is
Welcome
terrible.
to the stream. We are suffering.
God, Christ on
I
sale.
don't. I found it at World Market. It looked interesting. World Market failed me. Don't look at me like that. I'm sorry. I'm also suffering right now. Oof. I really would like some Merlot. We gotta rinse these glasses out.
Okay.
Y'all.
Oh, God, I can taste it again. Why?
Okay, I made mistakes were made.
Mistakes were made.
Horrible mistakes. Although now.
Oh my God, let's just get this over with.
Okay, thank you. My hero.
Go rinse the glasses, please.
BRB.
No!
I'm so sorry.
My taste buds do not consent to this.
Drink some water.
Ugh. I hope you're enjoying yourselves. This was going to be a fun conversation about one of my favorite movies and how awesome it is. And the awesome character of Hannibal Lecter. And masterful storytelling in making a movie that is deeply uncomfortable to absolutely everyone, but absolutely captivating throughout the entirety of it. Ah. Ooh, okay. Not how I expected to start today. Does trend as expected, though, for my life. So, with that and some fresh wine glasses, we're going to get something we actually want to have.
Yes. A delicious glass
Oh
of Merlot. I'm so sorry. Oh, there's water in that.
That's, oh my god. Why?
I'm sorry. I'm wondering the same thing.
Father,
I
why
had-
have you forsaken me?
Okay.
I'm looking in the wrong
Rose is
direction.
not
It's
a-
my father.
Rose is not allowed to buy the champagne.
No, you're not. This is why I go to the wine store with you.
I mean... Yes, it is.
I had my misgivings. It's the snakes on a plane approach.
Yeah.
The shittier your product is, the more money you can spend on advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just memeable. They go, ooh, it's blue and pretty.
Well,
And
then
champagne, we're fancy.
Also, because people will buy it just to try it, because it's unique. Mm-hmm.
So is botulism.
But yes, Don, we do get to whine about it, because you missed it. I've been saving this, like, little, like, mini bottle of champagne, like, since I found it, like, at World Market in December, and I got it because I was like, oh, it's unique, it's blueberry or something.
It's terrible is what
It was
is.
terrible. It was absolutely terrible. I have made I've made many terrible decisions in my life. I think that's the top.
That ranks up
One of
there
the
with
top.
me joining the military.
It really does. Curiosity murdered our taste buds. I'm gonna enjoy my rice. The Merlot will save the day. Which I also
Nice.
picked out, so drink at your own risk, I guess.
So, Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah,
What'd
moving
you
on.
think?
Oh my gosh. I think, like, I could not speak for a full minute after that movie ended.
The faces you
Like-
made during it were fantastic. I
we
really
should've-
kind of wish we still streamed the movie
With me
while you were
watching it.
watching it.
Well, what we should have done, which I said it last night, like, I should have had you screen record while we were watching it, like, on your phone. And then we would have had, like, all the things. So, okay. What are you doing? That's really aggressive.
More air.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Activating the tannins. Yes,
Yeah,
it does potentially
I
raise
also,
the wine a little bit.
yeah,
But
I was gonna say I also swirl, but like that was some aggressive swirling. I'm sorry.
I need to get the chemical reaction faster so I can get this fucking taste out of my mouth.
I told you to drink water.
No, that's only gonna make it worse.
It's a palate cleanser. So much better. I told you, Columbia
Ooh.
Valley Merlot. We gotta go to Columbia.
I was gonna say the Columbia Valley has the perfect ecosystem for growing wine
That's why I grabbed
outside
it.
of the Mediterranean.
Yeah, that's why I grabbed that one.
I would say Southern California, but 30% of the smog there is from Beijing.
Yeah, so it's fun. But yeah, Silence of the Lambs just like absolutely blew me away. So I think when people think of me as far as like things that I enjoy, they usually think of like fantasy and sci-fi and stuff with dragons, which is pretty accurate, but also I love a really, really well done psychological thriller. Like that is like one of my secret obsessions.
And Citizen Kane, or
Citizen
Silence of the
Kane.
Lambs, is the Citizen Kane of psychological thrillers.
It absolutely is.
To go to that tired cliche.
Yeah. Well, it's the same kind of mindfuck. Like I remember watching Citizen Kane my freshman year of college, like very very first semester. I don't know how I was allowed like as a freshman to take this class because it was a brand new class. It was very popular. Literally do not know how I got in. But it was a appreciation of theater and film class. And so, of course, we watched plays and we watched films in the class. And Citizen Kane was one of those.
And of course, your professor rooted for William Randolph Hearst.
Actually, this professor was like...
Oh, wait, he was the one
decent.
that was the actual teacher, right?
One of the few that was the actual teacher. So this one, he was like... it was a co-taught class. And one professor was much more of a teacher than the other. The other one was very quiet and reserved. It was kind of like the introvert to the extrovert kind of dynamic. And the film teacher was the more extroverted one. And he, like, really got us to really think very deeply about what was going on. And he also got a lot, like, so we spent, like, I think 3 class periods watching the movie. I can't remember exactly how long it is.
It's a pretty long movie.
So probably more than 3 class periods then. But, like, after every class period, he would ask us what we thought Rosebud was, who or what. And, like, we would have, like, all of these guesses.
Did anyone get that it was the sled?
No. Nobody got it.
That his whole entire career and all of the lashing out and misanthropy was him just going through his childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And wanting that innocence back and that fun times he had with his sled.
And that's something we didn't even, like, dive into, is the childhood trauma, which of course we didn't because... Oh, I have words.
Getting a fundamentalist Christian university to acknowledge childhood trauma would kind of make the whole House of Cards collapse.
Yeah, pretty much. Which, like, I actually recently found out about something that was happening in the dorms, potentially when I was living in the dorms, and I was like...
Butt stuff!
I don't know. But, something, like, not great. Like, I know... Anyway... but just
non-consensual stuff.
Non-consensual stuff, and the person that was the perpetrator held power over the other person because they knew if the victim went to the administration, the victim would get kicked out, because that was a very common thing. Is a very common thing there still, I'm sure. Which there was an entire report that was done about the school. The school was investigated by an organization called GRACE, which is like it stands for Godly Response to Abuse in the Christian Environment. And I haven't even read all of the details from the report.
I never thought I would find an organization more useless to its founding purpose than the UN.
So, it's actually useful.
Is it?
They do a lot of good work.
I have my reservations. I don't doubt their intentions.
Yeah.
I just doubt their efficacy.
So, the issue
because there's
lies...
a whole lot of money and a whole lot of people that are disconnected from reality, and that tends to make things go away.
So that's the interesting thing with this organization is they write the report, and the reports are very honest. Like, I have seen parts of the one about BJU. I have heard about... I know. Trust me. We all knew. Which made it really funny whenever, like, administration or, like, teachers called the school BJ. And we would just all of us would just be like, has anyone told you? Do you know, 40-year-old human, do you know what this is? Probably not. But the reports are very, very honest. Like,
That's sodomy.
That's sodomy. I'm in trouble.
Yeah, I loved science. It was my favorite topic in school. I especially liked the Old Testament.
We were so far off track. My point with Grace is that the reports were very, very honest. Like, nothing was swept under the rug. But unfortunately, they can make the report, make their recommendations, but then they have to hand that back to the school. And then what the organization does with it is their responsibility. And that's where things get swept under the rug. Things don't happen the way they're supposed to.
If there only were an organization that dealt with interstate crimes, especially felonies.
Oh yeah, you know.
Like some sort of, I don't know. There's a
or
lot of government bureaucracy. They're a bureau that investigates on, like a federal level. It's a shame we don't have one of those.
Oh yeah, it's really too bad. Who knows what Clarice Starling was doing in this entire movie?
Yeah, I know.
Who she fucking worked for? What was this bitch up to? So that's how we segue back into the movie. Here we go. But the whole...
And yet I got you to answer about your childhood.
Which, that was another thing.
I don't do it with an affectation.
Well,
with a
because
sinister
you don't-
power
yeah, I was
about
gonna say,
me.
you don't look like a serial killer. They don't.
Who
no.
does?
I was just gonna say, nobody does. That was something I actually
Ted
noticed.
Bundy was pretty.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I knew someone.
I
Who,
cannot
like,
wait to see how
interacted
this
with Ted
sentence
Bundy.
fin- Okay.
I knew a pretty person once. They were very pretty. Just one person though. You can all.
You're all uggos, is what she's saying.
Yup. But
Especially
yeah, like,
you, Don.
R.I.P. Don. He's just getting already roasted.
This is just going to be our thing. It's
This
not
is
just going
the
to be
Don roasting.
adversarial with you, and just, you know.
The person who helped us get here.
Yes.
Yes. I'm sorry, Don.
It would be very Hannibal Lecter of me to bite the hand that feeds me.
Fuck. No, but that was like the fascinating thing about Hannibal Lecter is that was one of the first things I noticed about him is when she walks like in front of his cell, which of course is vastly different from all the other cells that she's walked past because first of all it's
The level of self-control and discipline to keep
Yes.
himself organized in his space around him.
He's
as well
organized.
as having all of this art that he made.
Yeah. And he's just standing there like
I know
neat
you're coming.
and proper. Like
I'm going to... I have company coming.
Yeah. It was like this sense of decorum was incredible. Just seeing him like I even wrote down he seems mild-mannered. He just had that appearance of mild-manneredness where it was just like, oh yeah, like invite the neighbor in for tea kind of situation. But obviously because
I'm
then
having
he opened
an old
his
friend for dinner.
that line, I loved that line. But and then he opens his mouth, and there was this very careful way that he spoke that was almost tense. Like you could tell he
It has a weight to it.
Yes.
Everything he says, because it's a projection of power.
Yes.
Everything is about asserting dominance on a mental level and making you on guard
Yes.
so that he can see how you guard yourself
Mm-hmm.
and then pick the weak points in your defense
Mm-hmm.
apart until you don't even have your guard up anymore, like a boxer who's too tired to keep his arms up.
Yeah. Well, and I think that goes right along with his psychological education. That was anytime they were he was talking to her in the conversation about herself, he was therapizing her. And because I've been to therapy and I have had some semblance of training as a therapist, and he was therapizing her. He was asking her leading questions, and he was guiding her. And the way he even spoke to her, he barely had to ask her to tell him things. The only time she ever resisted was when she was so focused on the thing that she wanted, but he was able to very easily convince her, like, if you tell me this thing, like, I'll tell you everything you want.
Also, tick-tock, tick-tock,
Yes.
tick-tock.
Yeah,
Focus yourself, because I know you're the kind of person with the mentality to exert self-control over yourself, to calm your own mind, and remember exactly what game we're playing and what the rules are.
Yeah.
We're going to keep the ball in my court. I'm not going to tell you things out of your desperation. Calm yourself or you get nothing.
Yes.
Because it no longer becomes entertaining to me.
Yeah. Well, and she was like on another level with him in this game. Like because he got a delight out of messing with everybody and fucking with them. But there was something about the games that he played with her that were just a step up from everybody else's.
Because he was training her.
Yeah.
As much as he was therapizing her.
Yes.
He saw the potential. He saw the mind there after that initial encounter. When he saw it the first time, that first real question he asked is, what was it that Miggs said to you?
Yeah.
To see if she would be honest about something uncomfortable or not.
Yeah.
Do
And
you
she was
have
honest.
do you have the force of will for clinical detachment and analysis to understand the situation and put aside base instinct feelings?
Yeah. Well, and the embarrassment of what he said to her.
Yeah, can you act as a mind, as a conscious mind? Do you have that kind of thing to overcome your animal instincts and the societal norms that have been put into you because you understand the situation you're in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
He said this to you.
You can play.
Yes. Like, you are welcome
Let's
into my
play.
And
even to the point where he lets
starts
her fool him.
Yeah.
Lets her fool him. Or lets her fool him.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
A little bit of both, because she did get him a little bit with it.
Yeah. She did. There was a point where she kind of had the upper hand on him for a little bit, because
with the offer.
Yes. It wasn't until there was one thing she said, and I can't remember what it was, that finally, like, he was like, oh, wait a minute. This is total baloney. But she had him up until, like...
But he could appreciate how well crafted her bluff was.
Yeah.
There was work that went into this, and it was realistic. It wasn't, oh, we're going to give you a beach vacation once a year. It's a toxic research facility, and you're going to be surrounded by a SWAT team.
But also you get to swim for an hour every day. Yeah, but the beach, which is, like...
You'll get a beach! Take a look at what's on the map. I'm not going to tell it to you, because it would be stupid if I did, because then that makes me look like I want to lead you to it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to let you discover it on your own. Draw your own conclusions. That very concept of Inception.
Yes.
Of, like, I'm going to plant an idea in your mind and make you think it was your own.
Mm-hmm. Well, and even the way she notices, like, he is very observant. Like, he says things about her simply because of, like, a mannerism or something she says. Like, he is able to very quickly suss out her childhood trauma. And she's actually able to do the same to him, where maybe not his childhood trauma, but she's able to suss out what he wants and what he needs, what he thinks he needs. And when she gives the offer, that's how she's able to craft it so well, because she knows exactly what he wants.
He wants someone to play with.
Yes. And she is willing to be that pawn.
Look at the craftsmanship that went into this bluff.
Yes.
It's a chess game. It's a mental chess game. And all he wanted was someone who wasn't a raving moron, like Dr. Chilton, who was more obsessed with publishing and fame than he was with actually understanding the human mind.
Yeah. Well,
especially, that's just insulting.
Yeah.
Like, come on, dude. You are the head psychiatrist in a research asylum dedicated to the most depraved minds on Earth. The whole thing that gets a lot of people into psychology is abnormal psychology.
Yes.
And it turns out most of it is just people whinging and whining that, my dad didn't hug me.
Well.
Not that they don't need help, but it's not sexy.
No,
it's not fun. It's not dangerous. It's not.
But that's what he wants. That's what,
and he has this whole fucking thing right there, and all he can think about is, oh, I should buy another terrible houndstooth suit.
Which, the excess of houndstooth, like, can we not? I realize it was the 90s, I realize it was 1991, but can we not with the houndstooth? Anyway, okay, that is the fashion rant aside. I'm really glad I'm not wearing a t-shirt today. But the thing with, oh my gosh, Chilton, which I remembered, like, I was able to remember Chilton.
Such a schmuck.
Yes, and there's the scene where he has...
almost excessively Lecter. So.
Yeah, it's kind of like he feels like a caricature.
Just overdid his character a little bit.
I feel like maybe just a little bit because he's so excessive.
But
like
I've
he's
met
so
people
bent.
Like that.
Which is, I think, the thing, because this is actually, I had this conversation with two groups of students today about what power does to you.
About Silence of the Lambs.
Not about Silence of the Lambs. I am a good teacher. Although I think a good, like, a solid group of teenagers, like older teens, I would love to do something like this with them, like have a discussion about hard-hitting movies like Silence of the Lambs, just to see what they glean from it. But I kid you not, 12-year-olds bringing up power dynamics today, and I was like, where did you kids come from? I love you. But we were talking about, there's a character in a book that I'm reading with my students who he comes across sometimes as this, like, kind of cartoon villain. But his evilness is also very, very nuanced. And one student actually compared him to Voldemort from Harry Potter, which then the next hour I was teaching a Deathly Hallows class. So, the Tiger Star and then Voldemort. But talking about like the way that power just corrupts you. And then there was even a character that one of my students goes, "This character is a simp," and I was like, "How do you know that word?" Because of the internet. No, she said, I was like watching all these videos about these characters and they keep saying that this character is a simp, and I was like, yeah, that is the internet. They say things like that on there. And she was like, it's true though. And I was like, it is true. He is a simp, but okay. But like talking about like how he was consumed by power, how he only went to be on the bad guy's side when he knew that this guy had power and it looked like he was going to win. And that's kind of what Chilton's like. He's leaning into this power, and doing everything he can to keep it because he thinks somehow that he has power over Lecter.
So, and he thinks,
or he's trying desperately to hold power.
It goes back to Milton because I draw this well a lot because Milton puts some really powerful thoughts out there.
Yeah.
The mind itself is a powerful thing. It can make a heaven of hell and a hell of heaven. If all you experience is the physical world around you, you are so limited. A man like Hannibal Lecter can be more free in a cell than Chilton could be with an entire facility in his control.
Yeah. Well, you saw what Lecter drew. Like, the art that he
can go anywhere he's been in his mind.
Yeah. Like, there was this moment where she sees his drawing of, I can't remember what it was.
It was Notre Dame.
It was Notre Dame. And that's right. And she was like, what did she ask him? Like, did you do? Yeah, did you do this from memory? And he's like, well, of course. Like, well, do you see any windows? Not that they were anywhere near Notre Dame, but
they were close to the college.
That is true. Wrong Notre Dame. But they, like, the fact that he could go inside his mind like that because he had seen it in person, he could reproduce that on paper. And he probably spent so much time just circling his mind because that was something that she also uses to appeal to him with this deal is like, hey, you'll have a view, you'll get books, you'll have something other than your own mind and the drawings that you make for you to explore and consume. And that was something that she knew he was missing because he had a very active, intelligent mind. And eventually he was probably going to run out of stuff in his brain, but we're also fed on the things that we read, and the creative minds are fed by the things that we see around us and the books that we read and the music that we play. And that was what was so funny about him is he was not funny, but just remarkable is he was so incredibly well-rounded. Like, except for the cannibalism thing, he was a perfect gentleman. And he was the classic perfect gentleman who knew music. He could do art. He read books. He was kind of the whole package, except for the fact that he eats faces. And I think that was also what fascinated about her was like, how could somebody who's so depraved as to literally eat people alive? Like, we see a couple of instances where he does this.
It gets so much worse in the sequels.
I really want to watch the TV series now. There's like some sick part of me that's just like, yes, more Hannibal, which I think is the point. But like
that's why the sequels wound up focusing so much more heavily on him because he steals the show. Anthony Hopkins is absolutely
he's a
tremendously powerful actor,
incredible person, incredible actor.
He has something in the tune, and it's a 2-hour movie. He is on screen for less than 37 minutes.
Yeah, he's not there very much, but he's the most compelling character.
And the first thing you think of with Silence of the Lambs isn't even the main serial killer, Buffalo Bill.
No, it's Hannibal Lecter.
It's not even Jodie Foster.
No.
Who's the protagonist of the story.
And phenomenal in this movie. Like, let me just add that. She is amazing. Her acting is incredible.
It is an absolute star-studded cast of tremendously talented actors. But Anthony Hopkins blows it out of the park so far as Hannibal Lecter. And it's partly because he's such a memorable character.
Yeah.
But also just the tremendousness of how perfectly he played the character of this just... If he were an animal, he'd be one of those beautifully colored reptiles that is one of the most poisonous things on Earth.
Yes, like that frog.
The Brazilian tree frog?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. But that's... So, because you can have a part that is beautifully written, that's like, the writers blow it away. But if you have the wrong person in that role, it kind of wrecks it. So, like, the part is both the writing and the actor. And, like, Anthony Hopkins does an incredible job of, like, doing the writing justice in this movie. And there's even, like, I think one thing that he does very, very well, which is so essential to acting, is his body language. Like, there is a moment where Chilton is screaming his head off. Like, Hannibal is there, he's straight, he's in the straitjacket, he's in the less, like, intense face restraint, and he's standing there raging at him, like, tell me who this guy is, tell me where he is, tell me everything, like, trying to just beat the information out of him. And Hannibal is just standing there, and you see this little smirk, and there's just...
I have absolute power over you. It's like seeing someone and two people who are disagreeing, and one of them is raging, the other one is perfectly calm. Mm-hmm. They're still engaging with each other.
Yeah.
But...
You know who holds the power.
Correct.
No matter who is right.
When they go louder, you go softer.
Yeah.
Because that's power. The second you let go of control of your emotions, you have lost.
And he knows this so well, and he is amused by it. He's amused by Chilton's temper tantrum, because the longer he stays calm, the more enraged Chilton gets. And then
because have you ever tried to yell at someone with no effect? It's infuriating.
It is. I have been the person who has been, like, I've been on both ends, and it's...
And when you're the person who's staying calm while they get madder and madder...
It's eerie. It's
the
also
far
hilarious.
more refined version of die mad about it.
Mm-hmm. It's eerie, but it's also, like...
It's so
you're trying
fun
really hard not to laugh.
Because you realize exactly how much power you hold over this person.
Yeah. Because they have lost all control. And no matter who is right in that situation, the person who has lost control is automatically wrong. Because they lost control.
I've done that so many times at work.
Losing control?
No.
Oh.
Being the person
I was going to say, I was like, wait a minute.
Quietly smirking while they get madder and
that
redder
makes
and
way more
redder.
sense. And then he looks at the pen.
And goes,
as soon as he looked at the
fucking morons.
And he looked at the pen, and I was like, oh yes! Like, I was rooting for the serial killer in that moment, which was... I should probably make an appointment with my therapist to talk just about that, but you know what? It's fine.
Yeah, and also about how much you were reminded of me.
Okay, alright, that was a whole thing, and I was like, I was still thinking about it today. Because...
I'm fucking with you. I saw that movie when I was 9, and it had a deep impact on how much power he had.
Yeah, I wish we didn't have that discussion.
As a short, chubby, nerdy kid who moved around a lot, I couldn't fight back against bullies, but what I had was my mind. And when I saw that, it absolutely inspired me not to eat people. For the record, not to eat people.
He doesn't eat people, as far as I'm aware.
Allegedly.
Allegedly does not eat people. But, I mean,
Chilton was a bully.
But to be
able to do that and just hold that kind of sway. And the first time I did it, and everyone else was like, what's going on here?
Tiny baby Andrew holding power.
Just being a wise ass and like mouthing off and like, you're getting angrier and because you're fucking stomping around isn't gonna work. And like, everybody's like, nobody does this. Nobody responds to that bully like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it's why I'm such a wise ass, aside from the fact that I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah.
But
both of the things.
The effect was multiplicative.
Yes.
But I learned from such a young age that like you can do that. And I don't know, must have been 12 before I really realized I can refine this, because it's not just about being a wise ass, it's just psychological warfare.
Yeah. Which is exactly what he was engaging in. And it's always so fascinating to me when we have these serial killers that are also psychiatrists, because they know so much about the inner workings of the human mind. They know exactly how people tick, and they know exactly how to push them. Like, being in the field of the mind is very dangerous in the hands of the wrong person.
You know, it's funny, if I actually do have the opportunity to go to medical school when I get out.
Weren't you interested in psychiatry?
Well, if you're good at something, never do it for free.
It's true. It's true. Please don't eat people. I realize...
I don't promise to not eat people. I don't not promise to never not eat people.
There we go. I was like, you were trying to do the double negatives and it wasn't working, but there you go. Good job.
I'm not going to.
No.
I'm just thinking I'm not going to promise not to.
Yeah. I mean, you know.
What if a motherfucker needs eating?
Totally fair. Which some of those motherfuckers didn't need eating.
It would taste worse than that terrible champagne, but for the sake of this country, I would eat Ted Cruz's face live on TV.
You know what? That would do us a lot of good, honestly.
That whole scene with him and the cop, I would do literally that exact thing in front of the entire Associated Press.
Oh my word. Oh my word. Well, and okay, that one, I was so proud of myself, because I was like, when they came in and they saw the cop like laying on the ground, I was like, that's him. I don't know how, but that's him. And he was wearing his fucking face. And he got the drop on them so hard, because he put on the guy's face, but then also put the dead guy on top of the elevator.
His outfit.
Yes.
While he wore the other outfit.
Like, he did the whole thing.
And managed to work himself up to such a tizzy
that he
simulated a grand mal seizure.
Yeah. Like, that is insane. Like, the amount of genius in that,
which was well established.
Oh, absolutely. Like,
and his knowledge of medicine and everything about
it. Well, because, once again, psychiatry. Like, if you are in psychiatry, you have a medical degree.
Yes, you're a doctor. An actual doctor. Not like a doctor of mathematics.
Yes. Like, the real kind that can help people with their health.
What's the difference between a large pepperoni pizza and a doctor of mathematics?
One tastes good.
A large pepperoni pizza can feed a family of 4.
Ooh.
Get fucked, math nerds. Engineering for life! I'm not happy that a solution exists. I want to do something with it. Nerd rage.
Some serious nerd rage there. Are you okay? Do you need more wine?
I'm fine.
Okay.
Being a mathematician is its own punishment.
Yeah. I never advocate for beating up nerds, but mostly because I am one, so I would advocate for my own abuse. But
chemical engineer with a doctor of psychiatry.
This is sincerely a recipe for you to become a serial killer,
or the world's first actual supervillain.
Also that.
However, Vladimir Putin does exist, but so maybe not the first.
I was just gonna say he's definitely a supervillain. Also, Jeff Bezos exists, so
he's not a supervillain.
Yeah, I had students like
villain, yes. Super, not so much.
I sincerely think
the Lex Luthor resemblance is uncanny, though.
Oh, yeah, it is. Which I sincerely think, I hope parents don't think I'm like leading kids into these conversations. I had kids going on and on about like how evil Jeff Bezos is the other day, and I was like, I did not start this conversation. I will 100% encourage it, but I did not start it. So,
easy there, Jerry Springer.
It's fine.
Oh no, I don't. She's your sister, and she's sleeping with your husband, and there's a knife here now. I don't know. We'll just do whatever. Security. That man was the mayor of Cincinnati.
You know, I never claimed to be sane.
Which, I don't know. I suppose it speaks more to Ohio than Jerry Springer.
I was just going to say, have you been to Ohio?
I have. I've been to Cincinnati.
I'm so sorry.
It was actually kind of a nice city. I liked it.
There was a really cool looking Barnes & Noble in southern Ohio, and I didn't get to go there because the people that I was road tripping with were not interested.
In fairness, they weren't interested in Ohio, which is a perfectly fair sentiment.
It was a massive Barnes & Noble, though. That's all I wanted.
I would trade a dozen massive Barnes & Nobles for one hole-in-the-wall bookshop.
That is fair. That is fair. There are some very good ones in Seattle, and also Tacoma.
We absolutely need to go there.
Yes,
the
we
Seattle one's not Tacoma.
Yes.
I would really like not to get in a gunfight.
I mean, Half Price Books is not as sketchy an area. It's near the Chick-fil-A, too, so...
Alright, I can shoot a motherfucker.
There you go.
Also, fun fact, underway.
Yeah.
The head cook
Mm-hmm.
was able to perfectly replicate the Chick-fil-A sauce.
Nice.
And he would make fried chicken sandwiches
with the Chick-fil-A sauce?
with the Chick-fil-A sauce only on Sundays.
Nice. Yes. Fuck you.
He wanted the power of being the man who could say the only place you can get Chick-fil-A on a Sunday was on the USS Alabama.
Nice. That was incredible. Kudos to that chef.
It was
probably the only good
incredible.
chef in the entire Navy.
Not true. There's a lot of shitty ones.
But there's also
the ones who are there because they
Mm-hmm.
love to do what they do,
Mm-hmm.
man, they make that shit terrible. The military moves on its stomach.
Yeah, it does. Which is why they need to do something better with their cooks, but...
All new drops are now CSs or yeoman.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Everyone gets paid on time and
Also,
the food is delicious.
Fuck yeoman. I hate yeoman. They're like... Because of one yeoman, I hate them all. But to be fair, he shredded my marriage certificate, so...
Alright.
Like, no cares. The original one with the little embossed, because they insisted on that to add me to my husband's page too, and then they fucking shredded it.
Yeah, the problem is those divisions typically only have one competent person, and it's the chief, and he's usually there like the same amount of hours as the engineering people and the senior management people, because they need the yeoman there to record and do all the paperwork and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So he has no time to train the junior guys up, and the only ones who make it to the place that he made it are the ones competent enough to do it themselves, so they're few and far between. It's not a good system.
No, it's terrible. I do feel for the guys who are there and don't know what the fuck they're supposed to be doing, because that's not their fault generally. But it was still very frustrating.
In fairness, our Sonar Tech senior chief spends most of his time in the log room making sure that they don't fuck up.
Well, that's good.
Because he's been in
That's
for
good.
like 27 years.
That's what the Chiefs should do, is make sure their guys
Especially
are
because they
well-trained.
have nothing to do right now.
Mm-hmm.
His division has nothing to do right now. So he just goes there and makes sure things get done right. Because, you know, you're around long enough, you learn everybody's job and all the forms and paperwork and everything.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Sounds of the Lambs.
the raw power
Mm-hmm.
and the game playing and just everything about it, everything is 3 layers deep. Especially the scenes that Hannibal Lecter's in. Double that. Everything's, you know, what they say on the surface, the game played back and forth, what the implied understanding is, what the power dynamic is the next level below that, and then the counter response, and then the prediction of the reaction to the counter response.
Yeah.
Everything is layers deep.
And that was like, I think half the fun of watching this movie was trying to peel off the layers and just
As
get
it's
to the
happening
root.
live.
Yeah, get to the root of what is actually going on. And I remember he, like, when Crawford tells Clarice, she is recruited to go talk to him, interview Hannibal Lecter to try and get any information out of him that because they think that there may be a connection with Buffalo Bill, like he may know something about this serial killer that the movie is actually about, technically, Buffalo Bill, and they think he might know something. And there was something that was said that immediately I was like, there is a deeper connection here than he Because okay, sorry, I'm backtracking here because I think wasn't it that Crawford wanted to interview Lecter because Buffalo Bill was acting in similar ways?
No.
Or no, it wasn't just that he thought that maybe that Lecter would know something about Buffalo Bill. I feel like
he thought there was a connection.
Okay.
So the actual connection is Buffalo Bill was once the lover of a patient of Dr. Hector.
Which I guessed that he was a former patient, so I was very close.
Crawford was the one who arrested Hannibal Lecter.
Right. I know that. Yeah.
So he had a very deep insight because he wasn't just some G-man FBI agent.
Mm-hmm.
He was the head of the behavioral sciences unit.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a man who also understands the human mind, maybe not to the depths and the ability to play with it like Hannibal Lecter does, but significantly more than the average law enforcement individual. This is the man who's the head of the FBI's serial hunter task force, basically. Mm-hmm. Dude knows some stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's implied, and I'm assuming that in previous interactions, he picked up that there's some connection between Hannibal Lecter and Buffalo Bill.
Okay. And which then he wanted
and
her
then
to
he
find that
sent
connection.
in Clarice Starling
To find the connection?
to just
See what happens.
be an unseen move.
Yeah.
Because if Jack Crawford had gone in there,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been business as usual to
Yeah.
Dr. Lecter. But Jack, both knowing that Clarice has promise, and is not your typical, oh, I want to be an FBI agent, I'm here
so
to do...
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of plays his own game and offers her as something for Hannibal to play with.
Yeah.
Through very reinforced bulletproof glass, but let's see what happens. I'm not going to give her an agenda. I'm just going to tell her to ask him to fill out this questionnaire because she's junior enough. She doesn't know better. She's still technically a trainee. She doesn't even get her badge until the end of the movie. Which
he actually notices right away. When she shows him her badge,
that
he's like, that expires in a week.
Yeah.
You're not a real FBI agent.
Yes.
And she's like, well, I'm in training. And I, like, that scene, I was very fascinated by it because I thought, is this going to discredit her in his mind? And I think it actually made her more fascinating to him. And I think it actually increased her credibility because she hasn't been through the machine.
Yes.
She is brand new to this whole thing.
Who are you
She's young
that
and
the head
passionate.
of the BSU would send to me?
Yeah. Like,
is this an absolute move of desperation that he's drawing from the student body to do this now? Or are you worth something? Let me play and find out.
Yes.
And she's outstriped in every way, shape, and form.
Yeah.
But responds admirably enough for him to go, okay, I'll play.
Yeah.
Quid pro quo, Clarice.
Yeah. And which he seemed to notice very quickly that she was in many ways on his level. Even though she is still a trainee, she's very green around the gills.
She had the potential to be a worthy adversary.
Yes, which made her worthy in his mind.
You have potential. I want something to play with.
Yeah.
Let's
play.
I'm going to play with you now to encourage you. I'm going to plant this seed to make you want to grow.
Yes. Which I think Crawford knew. Well, I think we can say we know that Crawford knew that Lecter was going to see Clarice that way. Because he saw Clarice's intelligence and her potential. And even there's an exchange that they have where, like, she had challenged him on something in a class. And he says, I think I gave you an A. And she goes, well, you gave me an A minus. And so he knows her potential because she's shown it to him. And he says, okay, I see your potential. And I see that you have the ability to think on a deeper level and to go outside the box in a way that we need for this case.
Which is funny that they actually managed to write her that correctly. I mean, the original author wrote her that well.
Yeah. But that they
because
were able
she's
to
caught
translate
between
her.
these two great intelligences that could
Yes.
very easily just use her and toss her aside.
Oh, yeah. But they respect
But
her.
both of them foster her.
Yes. Which, you don't see that a lot.
Because it requires complex and nuanced writing, and
Yes.
any producer from a studio is going to go, most audiences won't get this.
Mm-hmm.
Put another action scene in.
Yeah.
Because they're talentless hacks that could be replaced by a screenwriting robot and ignored just as easily.
Yeah.
It is far less satisfying to smack the shit out of a screenwriting robot, though.
Yes, it is. It is, unfortunately. Which is why we don't have screenwriting robots.
It's fine. Producers aren't real people anyways.
No, right? Yeah, absolutely. No. They're all robots? Producing robots?
No,
Basically,
they're
zombies.
just subhumans.
Yeah. I can see it.
That's why it's so fun to smack them around.
Is that what you do in your spare time?
Mostly, yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that tracks. That tracks.
I just take small trips down to California.
And just,
Remind them that they aren't actually anything. The power they wield is not their own.
that's where you go on the weekends.
Mostly. I find it cathartic.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see why. Well,
One
and
of
this
them
is...
tried to test me once. I ate his liver with some fava beans and fine Chianti.
Mm.
Which, by the way, fun fact, I love this fact. That was, one, in meta context, a joke for the medical community. And in universe, a hint to her. Because a psychopath like him, locked up in an institution like that, would be on some pretty strong SSRIs and MAOIs as part of his pharmacological treatment regimen. 3 things you are not supposed to have with SSRIs and MAOIs.
Organ meat,
Organ meat,
beans.
that are rich in vitamin A, like
And
fava beans,
There was one
and
more.
red wine.
Red wine.
Because they create an adverse reaction with the medicine. And that was his way of saying, I'm not taking my meds. Because everything is 6 layers deep.
Yep.
It wasn't just him telling a creepy story about how someone who annoyed him got eaten.
It was also...
It was probably
wait.
true.
Yeah. But also,
Because
it was a way
everything
of him...
is true.
Yes. Well, because everything that he told her was encoded. So like that, like, I'm not taking my meds. Here's the liver and fava beans and red wine reference. Even the, like, he... And this is his, I think, his true first big test of her is when he says, my former patient, Moffat, will tell you everything that you need to know. And she figures out...
That it's an anagram.
Yes. And she finds his old storage unit and finds the preserved head of one of his former patients, who I believe was the guy that was the lover of
Buffalo Bill.
And he then, like... And so she has to be able to peel back the layers. And this is what really proves her worthiness to him. The fact that she can match him like that she can figure out what he's really saying. Like, even when when Chilton gets the name of the Buffalo, the real name of Buffalo Bill out of...
She knows it's
She's
another
like, that
anagram,
is
'cause
absolute
he would never
BS.
give him the actual name.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't
Never.
respect Chilton.
No.
Chilton's
No.
as low as one of the orderlies to him.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no difference because he's just a Neanderthal.
But Chilton is so consumed by his own power, he can't even see that. And he runs with that name. He is, like, nose to
Talking
the ground.
to the press, saying,
oh
due
yeah,
to
we
my
have
brilliance...
we have the name, and I had to, like, I'm pretty sure I
You're
stopped.
sitting there laughing.
Yeah,
going,
I
you
scoffed.
fucking moron.
You are so dumb. And but that is the kind of person that he is. Like, thinking about people who are so power hungry that they are blind to what is really true. Like, Chilton is a perfect demonstration of that.
So...
The fact that he worked with Lecter and still did not understand the fact that this guy was layer upon layer upon layer.
Literally can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
He literally latches onto the first thing in front of him and assumes that's it.
Yeah, well, because
And
he
doesn't
thinks he's
take
a
a
clever
step
boy.
back and look at everything around him and put it in context.
Yeah, especially with Lecter.
And Lecter's conversation of what does he want?
Mm-hmm.
What does he want? And breaks it down. He wants to kill. Why does he want to kill? Because he gets some sort of because he covets.
Yes.
It comes down to very, very basic terms and breaks it down to what does it actually mean?
Yeah.
What does it actually mean?
What does he really want?
And how do you covet? Do you go out and seek things to covet? No. You covet things that you see every day. That
led her.
is not just one specific instance, but it shows the entire philosophy of how do you go about it? What is this critical thought process? How do you break something down? Because it's not about what the answers are. It's about what the right questions are.
Yes.
Because the right answers only apply to that single problem. The right questions to ask apply to every problem.
And
it's like learning how to learn. If you
Yes.
learn how to learn, it doesn't matter what task you go out and set your mind to. Because if you know how to learn, everything's the same. It's the same concept in martial arts. If you can fight 1, you can fight 10. And if you can fight 10, you can fight 10,000. Because it all comes back to the same fundamental building blocks. Because it's very easy to operate up here in that everyday world that we all assume that we see. Because nothing's really what we see. It's a combination of things that are built from smaller bits. What small things is this thing I can see on a macro scale built out of? Because if you can break it down, you can rearrange the parts.
And that's what she's able to do, because she can break it down to the smallest thing down. And like when she is asking that question, and she says it with her, like, I love the scenes where she's like with her friend, and she's like going in circles on it over and over and over again, like, and what is he coveting, and what does he want? And that was when, like, when she's asking those questions on a deeper level, that's when she realizes, because there's that's when she
realizes the timeline is out of
Yes.
order of the victims.
Yeah, the first person who was taken was the third body found.
And it goes a lot into behavioral science and criminology. The concept of victimology.
Mm-hmm.
What is it about this victim?
Like, why her?
Why her? And especially the original victim, because it's most closely associated with the initial instigating incident or traumatizing event that causes, that tells the most, because it acts the most out of the original passion, not the developed response.
Yes. And you can take that first victim and find the rest of the pattern from her, because everything, I mean, when you look
can
at
look
that
forward as much as you look back.
Yes.
But or rather, you can look back as
Backwards
much as
as
you
you
look
look
forward.
Yeah.
You go, here's the trend, this is the irrelevant data, this is the plot of the line.
Yeah. Because she's able to
And
take...
it leads back here, where all of the evidence is, before
Yes.
they learned how to cover their tracks, before they knew about themselves what you know now.
And seeing how he grew as a killer, which but like, she was able to trace it back to this first victim and see what inspired the actions in the first place. What was he coveting? He was coveting who she was. He wanted, because of his trauma, he hated his own identity, and he saw her so secure in her identity, and he wanted that. And so he went and he took it, so that he could fashion something to look like that, to look like her.
Goodbye, horses! Yeah, that song's ruined forever now.
Yup.
Would you fuck me? I'd fuck me. I'd fuck me hard. Goodbye, horses.
Slowly pushes you out of frame. But he wanted to be her. And then, like, when she finds the photos, like, that was when it all, you saw the gears turning when it all started to come together for her. She finds the photos, which were telling in and of themselves, and then she walks across the hallway and finds the dress with the pattern, part of the pattern pinned to it that was exactly like the cutouts of the most recent victim. The way that so Buffalo Bill, he would skin his victims, but only their backs. But in the most recent victim that they had found, he had cut diamonds out of their backs.
Not only their backs.
Also their arms, right? Or their...
What he was cutting out. Have you ever looked at a fabric template for making a piece of clothing?
Yeah. Kind of. He was cutting out the pattern.
What do the individual pieces look like?
He was cutting out
what are the victims'
yeah.
skinned portions?
Yeah.
They're the exact sorts of cuts of fabric you would use to stitch together
yes.
to make something.
And he was cutting those pieces out. He was fitting a pattern. And because she sees the diamonds and she goes, oh my God, he's making a woman suit. He is making a suit that he can wear so that he can be a woman. Which I think was either right before or right after we see the scene where he's like dancing naked in front of the camera and he like tucks himself away to like see what he looks like as a woman. And that's it, like it shows the obsession that he wants to be anything but what he is because of his trauma. And this is something that like this ongoing theme, because we get hints towards Hannibal's trauma. We get very like the whole story, like we get so much of Buffalo Bill's trauma. Like that's the whole reason why he kills. That was the like what started it. What started him on the path to coveting, which started him on the path to killing. But then we also see Clarice's trauma. And
that's a large focus of the movie.
Yes. And it's
between the death of her father
and the lamb.
And the lambs.
And the lamb that she tried to save. And that's when Lecter he pulls back the curtain on the whole reason she does what she does, which is
your
if she
father
can
was
save,
a cop and you want to save just one.
You want to save just that. Like, if you can save one lamb, it will all be worth it.
It will make the screaming in your head stop.
Yes.
Of all the things you've gone through.
And he gives her lamb.
She's earned it, though.
Yes. She's absolutely earned it. But that's, I think, what's so, like, that's what compels me about him as a character in this movie.
Because he's not this sort of mindless killing machine.
No. He's very calculated. He doesn't just go out and eat the face off of whoever he wants to.
He's
or whoever he chooses.
He's completely detached from any societal norms and any human norms to a large extent. Yeah. He's still very much of this world because of his attachments to all these refined higher things. The things that come from higher thought, high art. Mm-hmm. Beautiful pieces of classical music, the ability to produce art of his own, of museum-worthy caliber.
Yeah.
Refined speech, diction, thinking, literature. You see him when he's in that cage, he's reading a book of poetry.
Like, for all intents and purposes, again, he is like a perfect Renaissance man. Except for the fact that he's a cannibal.
That actually does not preclude him from being a Renaissance man.
Actually,
Gilles
that
Leroy
is a fair
was a
point.
thing.
That is a very fair point. But he...
Middle Ages were crazy. The Renaissance was crazy.
It was all
18th
crazy.
Century France was crazy.
But he has these rules. And he doesn't kill just anyone.
He's not mindless.
No.
He has a set of rules.
Well, and
they're barbaric by our standards.
Oh, absolutely. But he has them and he sticks to them, which is... So there were two things that I noticed about this. First, this is actually true of pretty much any serial killer. They have a profile and they have a very specific type of person that they will kill. And they have their own sets of rules of like who is going to be their victim.
And the rules don't need to make sense to us. They need to make sense to them.
And so the second thing that actually kind of made me chuckle at the end was Lecter makes a comment maybe halfway through the movie about how they can know that Buffalo Bill is white because killers usually only kill within their own racial demographic. Mm-hmm. And at the end, he's in Jamaica, where he is like, barring any tourists, he's the only white man, the only white person.
Intent on killing another white person.
Like, he's there literally to have an old friend for dinner. But it's interesting to me that he chooses Jamaica. Because, like, based on what he said before, he has no interest in cannibalizing anyone who actually is from Jamaica. But he chooses there, and he's clearly very at home in that place.
He's very at home anyway.
Well, yes, that is true. And he went there specifically just for children,
and ability to adapt to anywhere. Yeah. He is a gentleman no matter where he goes.
Yes. It almost seemed to me though like he was like attempting to just settle in Jamaica. Maybe I misconstrued that one.
A little bit.
Okay. But it was just interesting.
There is no settling.
That's true because he's a fucking serial killer and can't just settle down and put up the white picket fence because you're on the run.
Also Ted Kaczynski, also a lot of them. They tend to have preferential territories. They act very similar to animalistic predators.
Yeah. But the point being, it was like interesting, and he followed Chilton, I guess, to Jamaica, and that was going to be the end of him. And I just love the way that the movie closes with him just slowly
and you can see how behind. Agitated Chilton was.
Yes.
And that he had security with him. Mm-hmm. It wasn't going to make a damn bit of difference.
Oh, no. This is fucking Hannibal Lecter. If he wants to eat your face, he's going to eat your face. And then he even...
There's something attractive about that level of power and self-control.
Yes, that he will only eat the faces that he wants and chooses to eat. That he's not some sort of mindless animal. The way that he chooses who he eats and who he kills, it is kind of an animal.
Predator and man at the same time.
Yeah, it's like an animal's choice.
And not just man, but a refined man.
Yes, it's like how can these two things coexist in each other? And even then... when he's talking to Clarice on the phone, after he calls her at the reception when she becomes an official FBI agent.
Because he wants to be a part of her life.
Yes. And he even says, I will, he says,
I'm not going to kill you.
I'm not going to kill you.
You're too much fun.
Yeah.
You have too much potential.
And it's just this, weird,
He's a little in love with her.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's his protege, but also he's fascinated by her. She's like this little butterfly in a glass jar that he has, and he's just watching her flit around. And
more like a caterpillar.
True.
That he put into a chrysalis.
Yes.
And he's waiting to see what emerges.
Yeah.
To stick thematic to the movie.
That is true. Which even fits very well. Yeah, it's very thematic to the movie, and it makes me think of the movie poster, which I, of course, never understood because I'd never seen it.
Because it has the death's head moth on her face.
And as soon as they
her transformation.
Yeah. And it's incredible, and it's incredible that because it adds nuance and layer to a type of character that we would typically only see one-dimensionally, which is a killer. Because you only ever see serial killers, which killing people is bad. I want to just throw that out there. But we typically... Okay, well, there I will add nuance to the discussion. That's what I'm trying to do. we typically view these serial killers, these bad guys, like Ted Bundy, Ted Kaczynski. Hannibal Lecter is fictional, but any of these serial killers that we see, we tend to view them as like these just evil, depraved people, which in one sense they are. But in another sense, they're also these nuanced human beings who are also so much more than the fact that they kill. Which is the same, like, you can
granted,
say,
most serial killers actually have a sub-average IQ.
Yeah.
Largely
But the ones
due
that
to
are in
severe childhood trauma, which is kind of usually a prerequisite.
Yes.
Which stunts emotional and intelligence growth.
Yeah. But they're also still a human who has had life experiences that have damaged them. And this was also
That
a
makes them
theme.
unique. And unique things are inherently interesting.
Yes. And this was also something that I was very fascinated by from the movies, because we have these three, like the three main characters that I like. We've got Buffalo Bill, we have Clarice Starling, and then we have Hannibal Lecter. And they are all acting out their childhood traumas in different ways. And for two of them, it led them to kill. And for
Far more prevalent response in men than women.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Because aggression, something. And then for Clarice, it led her to save anybody, like, it led her to save the helpless.
She was also the only one with a positive parental role model.
Yes, which I think had a huge
you don't really get told
in
in Silence of the Lambs, but if you go deeper into the stories and Hannibal Lecter's backstory and the story of Hannibal, or the show Hannibal,
then you get to find out more. But it's like, it's also like, and the childhood trauma is more implied for Lecter, but because there's this theme that he brings out both with her and Buffalo Bill of childhood trauma, I feel like it's very heavily implied that he's kind of not, I don't know if projecting is the right word. There's an implication, because whenever
he has an understanding of it,
he gets
especially between his own experiences and his studies of mind.
Yes. And because he has that combination of, like, the fact that he, again, is a psychiatrist, and then because he's had those experiences, he gets where Buffalo Bill is coming from. He understands how he got there, which is how he's able to leave those breadcrumbs for Clarice, ask those questions, and let her walk through the door and figure it out. Because he gets it. He sees him and he says, yeah, I understand. I know why you do this, because I do it too. And he finding unity in mutual pain, in the things that he has been through, the things that Buffalo Bill has been through. Because if, like, when you start really pulling out which I can't remember his real person name, what Buffalo Bill has gone through his life, it is absolutely devastating. Because he brings up this point that Buffalo Bill is not actually transgender. He was just forced. He was just put in a situation where he hated his identity so much that he thought he was. Like that level of trauma doesn't just go away. And it creates this arrested development in you where you don't grow emotionally. You don't grow in a way where you can have a nuanced approach to the things that have happened to you. And this is honestly why trauma leads so many people to do bad things. Not that, like, we're using trauma as an excuse, but it explains it. Why we have these adverse reactions, even people who are, like, genuinely trying to work through their trauma.
It creates a second psyche.
Yes. And, which actually, complex PTSD is often associated with dissociative identity disorder. Where you have another personality.
We're going to dig into that one more off the air.
I promise that's not a thing over here. But that is actually a thing. Not, like, all the time, but, like, for some people. It depending on your response to trauma. Hello, Jenny! Oh, hydrate. Okay. What if... Thank you for the lyric. We will drink water.
I will not. I refuse.
She redeemed it. You gotta do it. She redeemed a channel point.
For the views.
Also, welcome. Thank you for
I'd rather have more of that blue champagne.
It's fucking water.
Fish fucking it.
I knew you were going to say that, like, as soon as I said that. Chaser.
Yes, I'm having water with a Merlot chaser.
I can technically... that is true. Don't tell him that, though, because then he'll... Then he'll only drink the wine, Jenny. Which, I mean, there was that discussion in your Discord, though. There was a whole discussion in Jenny's Discord about how you don't have to, like, you can drink anything to hydrate. And so everyone was talking about, like, what they would replace water with. And I said iced coffee. Or I just said coffee, not iced coffee, but that's what I've been drinking a lot of, like, recently.
So...
It is specified to sip water, but you can change it to drink. I should do a channel point for, like, not like take a shot, but like more wine or something.
Pulls out bottle of Everclear.
I mean, I did have the whiskey up here, except I took it back downstairs.
That does us no good then.
I know, I'm aware.
And only raises my hopes then to expertly dash them.
I'm sorry. It's very clearly not up here.
I wasn't looking over there before.
I know. I'm sorry. I'll remember it next time in some shot glasses. We could do a take a shot channel point. Did I tell you about channel points?
No, you did not. This is not the time for that.
Okay,
now, though.
sorry. But thank you for redeeming channel points, Jenny. Warning, terms of service, it's not okay to have it say, oh, okay, that is, thank you. That's good to know. This is why I like you, Jenny. I mean, so many reasons, but, like, thank you. Where were we? Childhood trauma? the trauma...
Creating a second identity.
Yeah.
Also, CPTSD being linked to disassociative issues.
Yes. Yeah. So we're talking about Silence of the Lambs, and several of the characters, it's traced through the movie that they're acting out of their childhood trauma, and they're, like, the two serial killers obviously became serial killers, and then we have this FBI agent who's acting out her childhood trauma and trying to save anybody that she can because she couldn't save her father.
She couldn't save her father. She couldn't even save one lamb.
She couldn't even save a lamb. And, like, as someone with the equivalent of a CPTSD diagnosis, because that is not in the DSM, so you technically cannot have a real one.
Yeah, because the DSM gets updated once every, like, 10 years.
Yes.
Which is far outstriped by research.
Yes.
Like the fact that ADHD is almost certainly part of the bipolar spectrum.
Yep. Still waiting on that update.
Yep.
That'll be real fun when that comes out. Maybe I'll wait until then to get my real diagnosis.
That's why pharmacologically the neurochemical response between the medications for bipolar disorder and ADHD are almost exactly the same.
I actually knew that.
It turns out correlation does not imply causality, but it does furtively whisper, "Look over there." Also, the oft-neglected portion of that, which is mostly my own addition to it, is mechanism.
By the way, friend.
Friend.
My husband actually normally does Monday movies, but he is currently traveling home from San Diego today, so he will be here next week.
I once saw a blind old man get his pants set on fire to get robbed on a train in San Diego.
Sounds about right.
Got off the train, caught the next one. Meth head trying to break out mid-ride skateboard, screaming about somebody trying to hurt his wife.
Yeah, sounds about right.
We were going to the zoo.
You know, people complain about Seattle.
It's like New York, but with better weather.
Sincerely. Which still have not been to New York. Sorry.
Alright, time for medicine.
Yes.
Said the man who knows better.
I was just gonna say. Yeah. I think we have the same chair. This one? This is
Or
the one
this
I
one.
actually... They're the same chair.
No, this one's in blue.
Dark.
This one's in slightly darker blue.
This is actually the one I recommended to Kelly when she was trying to find a new chair. But I think, like, hers is way nicer. I actually want the one that she has, but it's lots of dollars.
If I had my way, we'd
Different.
be doing this in Barca Loungers.
I mean...
Also, I'd probably fall asleep halfway through the stream.
First of all, that. Second of all, they would not fit in this room.
We need to remember to look at the land and pulse bow.
Yes, we do. We are bad at this. Could you fucking get off of shift work so we can do anything pertaining to our
we haven't even
lives?
started Hot Ops.
Are you fucking kidding? This is...
Everything... people.
This
keep
is
screaming
bullshit.
We've started calling this period of time not ops. Because of all
Why
of the
the
stop
fuck are you
works.
on shift work then?
Because it's better than duty rotation.
I guess?
I prefer it. The little autism parts of my brain really, really love
I mean,
how
the
consistent
routine...
my schedule is.
Yeah, but
Like, really, I cannot describe how much I love having a consistent schedule.
No, I relate.
Also, the fact that I have direct ear to the XO because he's our supervisory watch.
That's true.
And
That's fair.
also, I fucking might have used, speaking of knowledge
But
of
also-
psychology, dressed him down a little bit today.
That's it. I want to hear about that offline. But hammocks out. Okay, see you soon. But like also hammocks outside. Yes.
Indeed.
See? Yeah. So we do
have a couple of
especially
Eno-
during the summer here.
I actually have a couple of Eno hammocks.
Mm.
Fun fact, I got them 50% off. As I was moving from South Carolina to Seattle, when we were in the mountains of Tennessee, in the Blue Ridge Mountains,
Yeah, that's a real big thing out there.
lost as fuck. Because
And
we
they
were
were
trying
like-
to find the tail of the dragon,
And
so
you
we
were
could
like,
drop
hey,
the motorcycle
you know what
that
I'm
I
gonna
was
do?
towing
Buy
behind
a
us.
fucking Eno.
We were trying to find the tail of the dragon so I could ride my motorcycle on it because I was towing it behind my truck and my trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And we pull into a lot to try and figure out where the hell we are because we were
Mhm.
so far in the friggin' mountains, my
You didn't have
GPS
GPS.
was crapping out. Well, what lot did we pull into? It was an outdoorsman store. A mom and pop shop.
Mm-hmm.
And they had 3 of them left, and they were all floor models. And we were talking to the guy about what was going on. He's like, oh,
Mhm.
military, Tennessee, very, very proud, patriotic part of the
Yeah.
country. Very beautiful part of the country.
Oh yes.
Except Knoxville, don't go there, you'll get
We
shot.
don't talk about Knoxville or Bruno. Sorry.
But he's my little skull friend. Sorry, private joke from our D&D campaign. And he's just like, oh, well, we were trying to get the hammocks because we were going to sleep out under the stars at one point, which we wound up doing
Mhm.
not in Tennessee but Arizona,
Yeah.
because this was a very long road trip. It was about 6,000 miles, and we did it
But
in
you
9 days.
I was just gonna say you only did it in less than 10 days.
Yes, it was wild.
Oh, I have a question for you about
But-
one of those people. Sorry.
50% off because all he had left
Nice.
was the floor models. He's like, I'll sell you the floor models, 50%
Nice.
off.
So you have 3 of them or 2 of them?
I have 3. Andrew has 1, Howie has 1, but I have Andrew's with me.
Okay.
And I have my own.
First of all, we have not gone hiking in the woods since, like, I think my birthday.
It's
which
also
is-
been 36 degrees outside.
Yeah,
every
but that's why
morning.
we were gonna buy spikes.
It's cold.
And bundle up.
I don't want to hike when it's that cold unless I'm climbing a mountain. Because I like climbing mountains.
Okay. It's been getting
Because it
warmer. We
makes
should
for a
go back
nice-
to Brainbridge.
Dichotomy
Yeah.
between my life of I'm going to be on top of the world and under the entire thing.
And that's also why we were gonna buy spikes, was so we could go hiking in the snow, which we never did do.
Oh, we did it.
You
In
bought
10 feet
spikes?
of it.
Well, okay, yes, that was a thing that we did last year because we're dumbasses.
I was in sneakers. I climbed a mountain in 10
I tried
feet
to
of
tell you,
snow
I was like, hey, let's go hiking.
in
And
a blizzard
I went to pick you up and you
because
were
we
wearing
missed-
fucking jeans.
because we missed the first stop and decided, fuck
Well,
it, let's
let's
just drive to
keep
the
going.
next one.
Well,
3,000 feet later.
There was never a next one, which we should just go back and do that one that we tried to do first, except this time you're driving so we don't miss the turn.
Or if we miss it, I'm just going to pull a handbrake turn.
Also that, because anxious me is not going to do that. Okay, so
10 days later, I was classified number of feet under the water.
absolutely wild. We were on top of a mountain, and then you were...
2 weeks later, I was on a mountain in Alaska. 2
Also
weeks
very-
after that, I was in San Diego.
Absolutely wild.
This is my life. All I want is a white picket fence, a nice wife, 2.5 children. I want a cat.
What are you
She'll
going to do
probably
with the
want a
other
dog.
half of the children? The other half of the third child.
Who cares? It's still tax deductible. I'll put a bunch of frozen embryos in my freezer and claim them as dependents.
I mean, they are in your freezer, so... So yes, ladies, he is single. AF. So...
I wonder why.
Can you tell? I'll talk him up for you. He's good at picking out wine. I am not. That's really all you need, right?
I can cook.
Yeah, he can cook.
You
gets
find
really
someone that
excited.
finds my incredibly dark sense of humor.
You have
We're
to
just gonna
find...
go to Seattle and find me a nice goth girl. A nice Morticia to my Gomez.
Yes. Well, see, so
Most
there's...
dudes want a Pam to their gym. I just want a Morticia to my Gomez.
Yes. Well,
Because quite
okay.
frankly, they were a better couple anyways.
Oh, absolutely. Jim and Pam were actually kind of toxic.
Because they were both terrible people.
Yes. Well, okay.
And Gomez
I'm
and
sorry.
Morticia were super
I'm
wholesome.
sorry. If you're going to pine after a woman, at least make sure she's not engaged. And then if you're going to kiss her randomly, because you're apparently in love with her, like, make sure she's not about to get married.
In
And then-
fairness, as time goes on and more rewatches of The Office happen, Karen Filippelli was right. Pam is kind of a bitch.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. And also, I mean, Roy was an asshole.
He turned into a gem, though.
But his
But
character
you know what? He
development...
wouldn't have done that if Pam
he,
did not leave him.
Yeah,
And he did not reassess himself and how
Yeah.
he behaved.
yeah. I had an ex tell me that once, that he was thankful that I broke up with him because it finally got him to, like, figure his shit out. Which was, as a...
Sometimes you need that.
Yeah, no, which...
And that can be weird and devastating to
Yeah.
a person until you realize, like, I'm exactly what they needed at that time.
Yes. Well, and that was the thing that I learned a lot, like, because I had a few relationships before I met my husband, and also, like, weird, awkward, non-relationships where, like, one was interested in the other, and it got weird because apparently I can't have normal friendships.
Nah,
But
not
the-
according to your parents.
No, or my spouse's parents. Because if I hang out with a man, I must be sleeping with him.
Obviously.
Obviously, so.
I mean, obviously, if we wanted to make real money, this would be an OnlyFans.
Exactly. When you turn the heater on, it smells like it's burning. Ooh, that does not. Yes, but also know that smell. That's actually why I put off turning on the heater every year, because I don't like to deal with the smell.
It's just the wiring heating
I
up.
know it is. It's
Trust
just
me,
annoying.
I'm incredibly
I-
paranoid about acrid odors.
I know you are, because you won't do your laundry unless you're home.
Well, I actually also had an aunt whose house burned down because of that. And that's not why I'm
that
paranoid
explains.
about that smell.
Yeah.
That smell comes from work.
Yes. The acrid
Where-
odors is work.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god, electrical. Glass Charlie!
Well, I didn't know I was about to say too much, so
Yeah.
I'm just gonna sit my wine and be quiet.
Yeah, no, because it turns out it only takes about 2 minutes of it going without any sort of effort to reduce it, and everyone dies. Regardless of your efforts, it spreads enough.
Texas sucks because it's hot for a few days or a little over a week, so by the time we turn it back to heater, it has that. Oh, yeah. Well, also just Texas sucks. I'm sorry. You've heard of Silence of the Lambs, now get ready for Silence of the Bams. Okay. Absolutely. Thank you, Dorkito Chip. That's actually a really cute username. I like that. So what should we call you? Dork Chip? Dorkito Chip? Bob? No, not Bob. We have a Bob.
We do have a Bob.
We have a Bob. You can be Bill. Welcome.
Considering the stream,
This is
probably
what we welcome
not
you.
Bill.
Oh yeah, maybe not. Sorry about that. You may call me Lord Dorothy. Stretch. Okay, now we have to stretch. Look at all these things I put in here.
Oh, my
like,
broken old body. This is
why you need to stretch. And that actually feels really good. I've been sitting in this chair like all day. You might call me Lord Dorothy. I love it. I love Lord Dorothy. Okay, yeah, rub it in. I come to make people healthy. Yes, I appreciate you. This is also where I work. I'm all day every day, so stream days are they're long. So, well, stream weekdays are long. I try to avoid this room on weekends unless I'm streaming, so it doesn't always work. What?
I try to avoid the stream unless I'm streaming.
No, I try to avoid this room
this
unless
room.
I'm streaming.
Okay, sorry.
On weekends, which I think if that's just me or the stream keeps skipping. Let me look. It says our connection is good. You're not getting skipping, so it might be
Your connection.
you. Sorry, Lord Dorothy. I'm leaning so hard into it. My back feels good now. I can't remember what we were talking about. I mean, besides Silence of the Lambs. Trauma. Dorothy? Dorothy?
There's a
There's a snarky nickname in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Just you wait, Lord Dorothy. You're gonna get something here. Oh, I am slouching.
Laws of Minority. I'm working on it. I'm workshopping.
Yeah, he's getting there. How dare Twitch deny me of internet? I'm going to complain to Twitch. You absolutely should. Get in line behind Karen. Or you could honestly pass your complaint to her, and she would probably just rage for you. Then you don't have to talk to people, which is always a plus, honestly. So. We're so far off track. There was something I was going to say. But that was not related to Silence of the Lambs, so probably should.
Childhood trauma, CPTSD, dissociative disorders.
Yes. So that's what's actually very interesting. Is I've spent a little bit of time learning about complex PTSD because that is like something that I do deal with in my personal life. I have been through therapy for it, but I was given some very, very good tools for managing my anxiety, for managing my PTSD, but it's definitely something like...
I was told, figure it the fuck out, nerd.
We're getting you in therapy as soon as you get out of the Navy.
What are you talking about? I've got therapy right here. Mom, can we give therapy? We have therapy at home. Therapy at home.
Go to therapy.
But how will I reinforce the stereotypes of dudes will literally do anything other than go to therapy if I go to therapy?
By breaking it, do you realize that will make you so much more appealing to women if you go to therapy? Like, women simp for that. Like, for good reason. A man who goes to therapy, like, he's clearly working through his shit. I'm trying to help you out here.
I've been so fucked up for so long, though, I actually kind of like how fucked up I am. Also, it's not in a negative way.
No, you're like...
It's just in a... I've dealt with my trauma in such a way that I've become a cartoon character way, and that actually is a strong part of my identity.
I also
it's
feel
because
like...
I'm so fucking ridiculous sometimes that I break people around me because they go, what the fuck is going on right now? And I revel in that.
I also...
Because it's something I enjoyed before I went through everything I went through.
Yeah, just fucking with people.
Or maybe I've just gone through so much shit from a very young age that that's all I really remember.
I was gonna say,
now,
like, it's not like the Navy
terrifying
was your first introduction to trauma.
What? Yeah, fucking tell me about it. We're gonna need several more bottles if we're gonna have that conversation.
I have another one downstairs.
That's a good start. It just, like, who am I if that changes who I am?
Mm-hmm. Well, and that was like actually.
What if I'm not funny? What if I'm not a cartoon character anymore?
Yeah.
Because I really like being a cartoon character. Because I really, really like looking at people and going, well, what about this? And they go, what do you mean about that? I'm like, but if this, and this, then that. And they go, I never drew that conclusion before. I have to reassess my entire world model. And I greatly, greatly enjoy that. Especially when I get to do it at work.
And that, honestly, honestly, there was a big fear for me going into therapy that I wouldn't be what everyone appreciated about me and what everyone liked about me because I went to therapy, because I was like, well, I'm going to grow and change and I'm going to be different and I'm going to get over this BS, hopefully. Which is really not, so this is even something that I like to tell people, because like a good therapist is not going to tell you how to feel or tell you like what you should think or what you should do. They're going to give you the tools that you need to process and deal with the bullshit that you've been through and that you are going through. Yes.
I'm pretty sure I already have the tools I need.
But it doesn't change who you are fundamentally, because who you are fundamentally is who you are.
I don't know. I feel like I'm dealing with my life in general pretty well.
Well, which was also something I was going to say, is that when you're not being a caricature of yourself, you're always a very nuanced person, but something that I've always appreciated about you is that you are just very in touch, and you are a very layered person who has a lot of... I'm being nice to you.
No, but that's where that comes from.
I know.
Only in part. I've always
Yeah.
been attracted to fine art.
Yeah.
And the concept of being
Yeah.
a Renaissance man and being
Yeah.
appreciated. It was just, that was my first real introduction to it.
Yeah.
Was Hannibal Lecter.
Which is
Explains so many things.
It really does. It really does. There was a conversation we had that I don't think should be repeated here.
Oh, repeat it, please.
Oh, no.
I have no shame.
I don't
After
know.
all
I
of
don't
the
think
things
you
I've
know
been-
which one I'm referring to.
After all of the things I've been through, for the views.
No. The conversation right after the movie about your comparison of yourself to Hannibal. Do you see where I'm going with this now?
Go for it.
Okay, so apparently we're going here. You said
It
something.
makes for good TV.
It really does. It's all for the views. Thank you. Which actually even brings a conversation we had several months ago where I was like all up in my feelings about like, well, what if we do a stream together and then you feel like I'm using our friendship for like internet points? And he was like, yes, use our friendship for internet points.
Do you realize how many worse things my life, my skill set, and my mind have been used for?
Fair.
Did you forget for a minute,
no.
like, everything that I am, what it has been applied to, and how I've been treated for it?
Apparently I did, but I don't want you to think that I'm using you
If I
because
can
you're
make
my
someone
best friend.
laugh,
Yeah.
or think, or cry, or know that they're not alone, fucking do it.
Okay, well then I'm gonna do it, because after the movie, he was like, do you see why I am the way that I am? I'm basically Hannibal Lecter, and I sat there for a minute.
I was basically Hannibal Lecter. I said there was a strong influence.
There was a strong... Okay, there's a strong influence. And I was like, does that make me Clarice? And he went, yeah.
It does. Because that's how our friendship started.
It literally is.
I'm this monster stomping around the world that started out as something with so much potential and got twisted and warped by all of the people around me trying to use me for things.
Little old me bouncing in like, yeah, I like books and philosophy, and he's like, oh, you
but
do?
with potential.
Well, I'm so glad I have potential.
It'd be a shame if it was wasted that the only people who attempted to shape your mind were your parents and the professors at that worthless university.
It would be a shame, because I would hate that.
Because there's so much more.
There is so much more, which was so, like...
And I hope...
You honestly can't...
in a small part, I have given you a gentle nudge towards greater truths.
Honestly,
if only within yourself.
Yeah. If honestly, a lot of that process had already started for me, because like when we met, there were choices that I was making and things that I was dealing with that I think actually became like I don't just like tell people shit too, and that was like kind of the weird thing was I was telling you shit, and
I do seem to have that effect, don't I?
Yes, but
everyone kind of does that to me. I don't know why.
Which I get that a lot too, so it was kind of nice to find my version of that, where like I get to just tell some person that I've known for 2 days shit about myself
but
because everyone else does it to
and
me.
And caring and knowing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of sit there and be what I am. I have no bones about it. I have no concerns of opinions. It just sort of is. I've accepted that fact.
I think and this dynamic is what draws people to both of us. Like, if somebody needs empathy, they come to me, and if someone needs bullshit, they come to you. Okay, that's reducing it down to
phrasing.
Perhaps. That's if somebody needs.
I like to think I'm
not that you have
something of a mirror that when people want to hold a mirror up to themselves, I will look at you and ask you the questions you're refusing to ask yourself.
I did not phrase that well. If someone needs, we're like two sides of the same coin. That's what I'm trying to say. We give people what they need, but just in different ways.
Indeed.
That's what I'm trying to say. Sorry, I'm not trying to say that you're bullshit. Damn, I suck.
You do.
Fuck you. I was not trying to say that you give all you give is bullshit. It's like you're like the snarky dark humor,
and
I'm like, come here, baby. Let me just hold you and pat you on the head. And
that's not always true.
That's actually not always true.
Snarky dark humor. That's mostly just the surface layer of
that
things.
Is also true.
The conversations we've had with Bob, I think, indicate largely because other than maybe some jokes about current world events.
Yes. I'm not saying words correctly. I'm sorry.
Have I done anything other than reflect reality? Because let's be honest, the human race and reality are really fucked up, but it's kind of funny.
It is a little bit. It is.
And getting people to admit that fucked up things are funny, and it is an intrinsic psychological survival trait of human nature to find really fucked up things funny. It's kind of how we get by.
I'm going to say humor is a defense mechanism for a reason.
One of the greatest tweets I've ever seen is like, wow, I just found out today you can't donate sperm if you've ever been, or eggs if you've been clinically diagnosed with clinical depression. Which is a true fact.
No.
I guess nobody's trying to have funny kids.
Wow. Also, that feels discriminatory.
In fairness, you're practicing eugenics.
Yeah.
Does the ADA really apply? I feel like that's just honesty at that point.
I guess, but like...
It is a denial of freedom of choice.
Yeah.
I would say that let the market decide on that one.
Yeah.
If, yes, you have all of these characteristics, but also a diagnosis of clinical depression, which does have a genetic component.
Which is fair. I feel like everybody has something, though. Like, you know what I mean?
I mean, if I sat down and talked to a mental health professional during one of my more down periods, they could easily diagnose me with that.
Yeah.
It would be a very myopic view, and very much not the entire picture, because of how vastly my mood swings. I wonder why that happens. Looking at you, military mental health professionals.
I was going to say something about ADHD and the bipolar spectrum, but also that, yeah.
No, I'm just trying to throw shade here. It just becomes, well, if it turns out, yeah, I'll take all of those pluses even with that one minus. that's people's choice.
Yeah.
The freedom of choice, and that's big on me. I'm very big on freedom and liberty.
Yeah.
Which is why I rail so hard against my own government, because they're fucking twits.
Yeah.
And they can't follow the basic tenets set forth, literally written down and codified.
Yeah.
Don't break the law, asshole!
That's all we ask.
It's fine. It's fine. We're all fine here.
Yeah, that's all
Which
good.
actually brings me back to one point that you brought up several times about the nature of corruption of power.
Yes.
Power corrupts those who seek power for power's sake.
Yes.
People who attain power as a means to a different end tend not to be as susceptible to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
People who go, I want to fix this, I need to fix this and this and this, and are put into power by other people, tend to be far less susceptible to it because they are far more wary of the nature of power.
Yeah. Well, and they're less likely to take on more than they can.
You know, cliche things like George Washington.
Yeah.
George Washington never wanted to be president.
No. And they tried to make him king, and he was like, fuck no.
Which also led to a much more fun DLC for Assassin's Creed 3. The Tyranny of King Washington.
Ooh. That'd be
The
fun.
final battle is on top of a pyramid.
Nice.
In the midst of a peasant revolt.
Nice.
With a completely flattened out top where you
Nice.
fight King Washington. Actually, if you
incredible.
look at my Facebook profile banner.
Uh-huh. Oh, is that what that is?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, and this is even something that got brought up, like, going back to my class discussions.
Which is why I should never be put in a federal position of power.
And yet, Senator Rulo. No.
Actually, if I were going
I
with
love
senators...
I love how you have a different approach to this every time I bring it up. Sorry.
I would be the senator from Colorado from Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. Can we bring up YouTube for a second?
I actually don't know. Jenny! I don't think think she's gone.
Rules lawyer, please.
Help! Or if Melly's watching.
Well, we could take a commercial break too.
Yeah,
'cause I
actually,
need a break.
I was gonna say we are actually
We're gonna
well
pay the
past
bills.
due for a break.
Yeah, we're gonna pay the bills for a minute, and
we will be right back.
yes. And we're back.
Welcome back. Here we are. Good short break.
Yep.
Things. So, back to Silence of the Lambs, because that is what we're here to talk about. Surprisingly, I know. There was something else that I think, that I know we brought up in our discussion last night when we were, after we finished the movie. But, I mean, Clarice is such a compelling character in and of herself, but the way that the way that she is placed in scenes is very strategic, because
even from the very first scene.
Yeah. Where she is among people who are so much bigger than her. Like, they tower
just
over her.
Physically bigger than her.
Which,
to establish that she is a small woman.
She is short, she is petite. And, as a person who is not much taller than Jodie Foster, I feel that with the people towering over me. But, Jodie Foster and I could not share clothes. So, but she is so tiny among all of these giants. Literal, people who just dwarf her. And yet,
she is always the commanding presence without being... She's not a boss babe.
Yeah, she doesn't,
she's not
come
a
in,
bad bitch.
She's
just a
herself.
Professional.
Yeah.
Who
she
is
comes in
psychologically dominant over everyone else around her because she's just fucking smart.
Yeah. Her presence has this power that even in a scene where she is surrounded by men who do not respect her simply because she is a woman, she is still able to talk to these men and get them to do what she wants. Reluctantly, but they still, when she asks them all to leave the room, they kind of look at her for a moment, and then they realize, whether or not they respect her as a female, as a woman, she has a presence.
Yes.
They have to listen to her. And so they do. They all leave the room. They walk out.
Or she just plays people. Because
Which I
she's
think
smarter
is part,
than them.
I think is part of having that kind of presence is the ability, for lack of a better word, to manipulate people.
It is manipulation.
It is manipulation. That ability to manipulate people into doing and being exactly what you need them to be. Which is what makes her an equal, or a potential equal, with Lecter. Because, again, going back to the serial killer
saying she's an equal. She's not even close to an equal. She has potential to grow.
I think that's what I'm
saying.
Like, he sees her as what she can't. Yeah.
She's a diamond in the rough of a mind that has potential. Yeah. A thinking mind that is able to divorce itself from the baser human instincts and really consider the nature of things.
And he sees her for what she can be.
Yes.
Which I think is why, because he treats her differently than he treats everyone else.
Yes.
He has a higher, he puts her on a higher level than everybody else, which is, while she is not yet his equal, she is on the road. She has that potential. And that alone is enough for her to gain his respect.
He sees everyone else as just being whatever it is they are. Mm. And this lowly sort of thing that will never grow beyond what it is. Mm-hmm. And sees her having dragged herself out of the mud. Yeah. Being literally no more than 2 generations from white trash. Mm-hmm. From West Virginia. An impressive feat unto itself.
Yeah. Well, and even thinking about where she comes from. People in the situation where she, in the life circumstances that she comes from, are far more likely to be in lower paying jobs, to be uneducated, to be criminals, because they're not given the tools they need.
I've been to West Virginia. It's a very beautiful country, but mm-hmm. Jesus fuck is it poor.
Yes. And so she comes from an incredibly poor area, and she was an orphan. And that, on top of it, she has nobody. And even, the family members that were supposed to be there for her rejected her.
FBI agent or FBI trainee mm-hmm. on the path to being part of the behavioral sciences unit, which is not something you just usually do off the get-go.
Like, that is
That's something you
incredible.
transfer into after you have proven, and somebody says, yeah, this one. This one. We're gonna...
Yeah. Like, that is next level. Like, the fact that she could overcome all of that, it is incredible. Like, that's an achievement in and of itself. And then the fact that she can keep her intellectual mind, her deep thinking mind. But really, that's what saved her.
Yes.
That's what
and you
brought
can
her
see
to where
even
she
in
is.
the scene at the end where she's in the house, Buffalo Bill cuts the power, and she's clearly absolutely terrified.
Yeah.
But has the presence of mind to go, that's the cock of a gun.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna unload in that direction.
Yep. Boom. And that's what saves her. That's what saves Catherine. And that's what ends the whole case.
And most importantly, Precious.
Precious the dog.
Stupid little French poodle.
Seriously.
I know
Which that
French
was
poodles
something.
are one of the most intelligent breeds, but man, there's just like...
Yappy dog. Well, and that was actually something else that I noticed
Of
about.
course, it's French.
Yeah. But that was something else that I noticed about, like, even both Buffalo Bill and Hannibal Lecter is the way that they
Keep pets.
keep pets, yes. But even just, like, how they handle... I'm trying to think of, like, how to word this in a way that makes sense. But... Okay, so the example that I'm thinking of, Buffalo Bill, we see him being very meticulous about the work that he's doing, like his seamstress work, and then we see this, like, and all around him, like, the house is kind of gross, like the basement, it's a typical basement, it's kind of gross, it's kind of wet, and then we see this dog that is very clearly well taken care of. Like, French poodles are no joke when it comes to their maintenance. And this dog is well groomed, it's healthy, it's well taken care of, it clearly loves him. Like, dogs are not going to be loyal to someone that they hate or someone that hurts them. Like, they're not going to approach a human in the way Princess approaches Buffalo Bill if they're being abused. Yeah, Precious, sorry. But then, so we see him, like, doing his little meticulous thing where he's got all his jewelry, he's doing his thing, he's got everything just so, and then he has his dog, Precious, who is clearly very well taken care of, clearly loves him. And then he scoops up that dog, and we can, this whole time you can hear Catherine just screaming from somewhere, like, help, somebody help me. And he walks over to this opening to a well. And we see the way that he views this woman that he has captured. He calls her it. And he dehumanizes her, and he acts like she is some sort of animal or toy or plaything. And it brings to mind something that Lecter said about dehumanization, where he is viewing this person as a non-human, as an object, something that is a means to an end for him. And that is what is, and, like, Lecter has the same view of most people. He doesn't view them as humans. He doesn't see Chilton as a human. He is a means to an end. He's an object. He is just something he's an obstacle that stands in his way. Something that he can use to either push aside or get what he wants. But Clarice is human to him.
Mm-hmm. Because for Buffalo Bill, it represents the womanhood that he wants to attain for himself.
Mm-hmm.
For Hannibal Lecter, it's about a mind.
Yeah.
Everything else is sort of irrelevant.
Yeah.
Sort of. But it's about someone with a mind with capacity.
And the capacity that he sees.
Everything is an object until it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
In that sort of worldview.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden just becomes, ooh, this is a thing.
Yeah. This is a
This is
plaything.
interesting. Okay. You had my curiosity. Now you have my attention.
To take it back.
You're a person now. I acknowledge you.
Mm-hmm.
You can keep up with me. You're rare. You're interesting.
Mm-hmm. And that's what piques his interest. That's what Lecter is just as fascinated by Clarice as she is by him, and he is enjoying the game. And even, there are times where he gives her little things because he wants to see what she does with them. It's like a dog with a toy.
It's beyond that, though, because there is some sort of affection.
Yes.
Even if it's just mind games.
Yes.
When he hands her the file.
Yes, I was just going to bring that up.
And strokes her finger.
Yeah. That kind of touch, that kind of the way that because he doesn't get human contact. He's lost that privilege.
He gets human contact. It's mostly through his teeth.
Yes. But, generally speaking, he has lost that privilege. And even, at the very beginning, she is warned, do not let him touch you, do not accept anything that he gives you. None of it.
But sometimes you gotta break the rules.
Yeah. Like when she comes in from the rain, and he gives her a towel.
And she goes, I'm going to accept this. Because it's not just a, fuck this noise, I'm cold and wet. She looks at it for a minute and considers it and goes,
this is more than a towel.
This is an act of graciousness from a being that doesn't really have grace or sympathy for others.
Yeah, he doesn't really do that.
This is a tremendous act for him. Mm-hmm. And it's not just gentlemanly decorum, because he could simply apologize for the weather.
Mm-hmm. But he reaches out to her, which is not normal for him. This kind of connection that he, this sympathetic, empathy.
And to be able to establish rapport like that.
Yeah.
Not just as a law enforcement agent or psychologist, but someone person to person, mind to mind, to go, okay, I acknowledge what you're doing. Also, this is nice. Fuck it, it's cold.
Yeah, I'm covered in rain. Do not it's wet out here. It's those little bits of connection which shows that this was more than just a you're giving me something and you're giving me something. This was it kind of became a friendship.
Than quid pro quo, Clarice.
Yeah. Far more than that. This was a relationship that they established. They were friends.
Which also gives him power over her.
Yes. Because
she should not.
She should not be friends with him, and yet she is. Which is going to create a problem.
For her, which gives him leverage.
Yeah, which gives him more power.
Again, it's always about the power games.
Yeah, well, and that's even shown in the end where he says, I'm not going to go after you, and I expect you to give me the same courtesy. Which, it's a very clear implication that,
I'm not going to stop.
I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. I'm not coming after you because I like you, because you're, my favorite little toy.
But this could very easily turn.
Yeah. And he knows that. He knows, especially the position she is now in. There could be a situation where they're like, hey, go after him, and she has to make a choice. And because she has created this friendship with him, and this kind of quid pro quo, words are not working right now.
Quid pro quo.
Thank you. I'm sorry. I do know the phrase. I do know the term.
Yes. Squid pro row.
I can't words. They have this relationship, and it creates a conflict of interest, and he knows that. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows what he's done, which is...
But it's a very simple conflict of interest. Easy enough for her to explain.
Yes.
But it's enough that he goes...
I've got you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even, which shows even then, where, she is, in many senses, not his equal, because while she has so much potential, he is still able to very easily hold power over her. and very easily create a situation where he has the power and she can't take that from him. Which is, serial killer, psychiatrist. Of course he's going to do that.
Again, it comes down to acknowledging the fact that true power comes in letting things go.
Mm-hmm.
Attempting to hold on to everything is foolish and short-sighted and, quite frankly, amateurish.
Mm-hmm.
The real power comes into making people think things are worthy to you and just giving it to them. It means nothing to you, but they think they got something over and over and over again until you get them to the point where they have overdrawn themselves so much trying to get these things from you because you make them give something, because, quid pro quo, this and this and this. I'm really getting it for free. I don't give a shit about any of this. I would have given it to you for nothing. But now you're so drawn past the line of protection. Now when I really take something from you, you're completely defenseless. Check. 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 Checkmate.
Because no matter what she does, he's still going to come out on top. Because he is already thinking 3 moves ahead of her. No matter how far ahead she's thinking, he is still ahead. Because it's almost like...
And that's the difference.
Yeah.
He lets her think she's his equal.
But she's not.
And all he's doing is just playing games.
Playing
She's fighting for her life.
Yeah.
And it's not anything more than entertainment to him.
No.
To me, it was Tuesday.
It was all a game. Because he knows he can get away with it.
Because the things he sacrifices are meaningless to him and everything to her.
Yeah. Because he lacks, for all of his calculating, for all of his foresight, for all of the ways that he is always 3 steps ahead of everybody else, he lacks empathy. He lacks
sacrificing pawns to make her sacrifice pointed pieces.
Yeah. Because it's all just a game to him. And even though she is more...
Everything to him is the game. It's everything, because that's all there is when all you are is a mind.
Yeah. Because very few people are actually people to him. And even the ones that are people to him are ultimately expendable. Which is where...
Even if a pawn becomes a queen, it's still just a piece on the board.
Yes. Which is where you have to avoid falling into this idea that he loves her in the same way that a human who is not like him would love another human.
It is love, but it's a very different
It's
kind.
a very different kind of love. It's the only way he knows how to love. But she's still just a piece on the board to him. Which is where we make this mistake. Like, I think because we have, like, talking about these killers, these people who are still human. Ish. But they have lost this piece of humanity that makes them... That is such a huge part of what makes people human, which is our empathy and the depth of our soul and the way that we love sacrificially. Because the way that Lecter loves is not sacrificial. It's like a fascination.
Covets.
He covets.
that note.
See you next time. See you next time.